Hello, welcome back to AP Crashout. I don't know how big of a problem this is, but a lot of people don't feel ready for the things that they are pursuing. There's this power struggle where you feel like you need to know certain things, or you compare yourself to people who are established, and you feel like you should be more than you already are, which I think is an unfair comparison. Somebody who has already landed the role of their dreams and they already have what they want had to get what they want. And at some point in that journey, they weren't already ready. They just applied, they took the leap of faith, and they got to where they were. They might have different qualifications, but there's so many ways to get to the same spot. And a lot of people want to judge it based off what's right, what they think is right, or this way is better than that way. It doesn't matter. Accomplishment is accomplishment, right? And there's people which you may not like who are getting things that you want, like maybe a lot of money, or it could be a girlfriend, or all sorts of things. But there's so many ways for people to write their stories. That's what makes people unique beyond their immutable qualities. And I wish more people recognize that there's no one right way to live their life or do things. On a very corny or cheesy level, it's like, oh, just do what makes you happy. But generally speaking, most people compromise at some point. It's like, oh, I have to live this life to get these things done. I'm like, that's fair. But if you want to be like, quote unquote accomplished or accomplish a certain thing, you don't have to follow in the footsteps of everybody else, even if you feel like you have to. You just start with something. It might not be the most sensical or rational way to get there, and then you build off of it. I think a really good example for me was I started in education. I'm still doing education. And then out of nowhere, I picked up some interest in chemistry. I ran a chemistry club, and that leadership in that chemistry club converted into leadership in a machine learning organization. And I couldn't have told you when I did the chemistry that it was going to convert into machine learning because I am a CS major. I'm sorry if that burst a bubble or set off a bunch of red flags, but that's where we're at. And I think I can speak of it, especially from a CS perspective, that a lot of people are very uncomfortable. That you go online and because it's CS, you feel like you can always be doing something because you can do it anywhere. And then you get the additional pressure that because I can be doing anything anywhere, that I'm just never productive enough. But your unique story is written by you. And selling that story to somebody, whatever lens you have, whatever vision, whatever skills that you develop as a medium of your interest is uniquely yours. And I speak from a position of privilege where my college is paid for. I didn't get any financial aid, but I got more than enough aid from my parents. And I didn't really need a lot of support in college. And that's primarily because of my upbringing. So I stand in a position where I don't have to worry about, food on the table or where I'm going to live. I have the money, which gives me the freedom to choose. And I think that's a very important thing to recognize that not everybody has that. And I think the best way that it was put to me is I was talking with one of my professors, software engineer at TikTok, and I asked him, like, how did you choose your career? And he was just like, I didn't. I just chose the first thing that was offered to me because he couldn't afford to shop around. He needed to make it work the first time. And that's perspective. I talk from a position where I had that freedom to choose. And a lot of people who deal with that imposter syndrome and those feelings of, oh, I don't know if I'm good enough, and don't act on it, generally speaking, are people who don't have to act out of necessity, who could go through their 4 years of college and still have support at home and be okay, because that's what that money means. It gives you time. It gives you freedom to choose. That's what college means as well, right? It's that additional time where you just have to not only use your status as a student as leverage in order to talk to people, open gateways, learn, and, do stupid things. And if that's all you want it to be, then that's all you want it to be. But I personally believe that it's never too early to start something, nor is it too early to just get your name out there. I think this is something unique to CS, or at least to the realm of tech, where people just say, get your name out there, and it doesn't matter how you get your name out there, just apply for everything that you see and hope that it works out. And if it doesn't, oh well, it doesn't really matter. Just keep putting your name out there. And there's this idea of a cooling off period where you apply to Amazon, for example, then you're supposed to wait 6 months before you apply to something else, and which I personally don't believe in. But if a recruiter sees that you're spam applying to every single thing, I'm like, maybe there is some truth to that. But the bottom line is, you don't know what opportunities will come your way. You can be super qualified and you still won't know if you're going to get the job. You have to apply and take a risk. And sure, you might be more likely than the new grad with no experiences and no work, or maybe even people with visas. I unfortunately know a lot of people from Asia who struggle in simulating in America, and that is because it's a culture thing. If I want an easy workplace culture, it's a lot easier to work with people who grew up in America than grew up foreign born, and you have to explain things to them. It's the same thing with job applications. No one wants to build someone up from scratch. We're all human. We all can learn and are capable of learning new things and doing so many things. But you want someone who is going to learn on the job and do the job quickly. So you choose people who have already proven themselves to be capable of doing the job. And that is more perspective, at least on the company side, if you've never thought about it. But all of this is to say that you're never going to feel ready, and it's never going to feel guaranteed. There's always going to be that shred of doubt, that shred of uncertainty, and you can let it eat away at you, or you can accept it. And that might be a hard pill to swallow, and that's okay. But it's out of necessity that you put yourself out there, you try something, you fail, and you try again. Or you succeed the first time and you grasp that opportunity. But however you choose to go about that is uniquely your story to write. It's your journey. And you also don't have to say yes to everything because you feel obligated to. You finally get into that FANG company, and so many people wanted to do FANG, but you're really interested in the startup idea, and you would rather work on that than the FANG company, and you feel this pressure to accept the FANG internship because it's prestigious, and you don't have to do that at all. There's some videos out there on Instagram, like Viraj.Allah. He talks about people who rejected higher paying internships to work at Google because they prefer the workplace culture. And that's the bottom line, is that if you can make ends meet and you want to choose your happiness over money, then do it. And it's just your measurement and something that people uniquely have to think about. What do I actually want to do with this internship? Or what do I want to do with my life? I'm like, the money will make me happy, me personally. And there's a certain amount of money, I'm sure, for everyone where they don't really care if they just get treated like trash. They'll just, accept the money and be happy with it. But other times, there's that wealth disparity, and you want experience, and you want it to be easy, and you want it to be enjoyable. So, food for thought. But if I had to give you action items in which, if you've ever used Circle Back, that AI for thinking, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. Go out into the world and go enjoy the things that you do, because there's not much else that you can do. I hope it makes your motivations a lot easier and that you actually enjoy the time that you spend. And don't worry so much about not feeling ready or not being the best or not being perfect, because you never will be. All you have to do is try. Thanks for listening.